Imagine sitting inside a passenger plane at 11,000 meters. The engines are powerful. The aircraft weighs hundreds of tons. The sky ahead looks completely empty. Then the plane reaches about 950 kilometers per hour, and suddenly it is not really fighting distance anymore. It is fighting air. That sounds strange because air feels soft. You walk through it every day. You wave your hand through it and barely notice it. But at jet speed, air stops behaving like empty space. It becomes a wall. And this is the real reason most passenger planes do not fly much faster than 950 kilometers per hour. Not because engineers are lazy, not because the engines are weak, and not because we don't know how to build faster machines. We do. The problem is that after this speed, everything changes at once. The wings begin to face shock waves, the fuel bill explodes, the metal starts to suffer, the controls become more sensitive, and if you push too far, the plane can enter a zone where slowing down is dangerous, speeding up is dangerous, and the pilot has almost no room for error. And if you love finding out the hidden reasons behind things we see every day, subscribe now, because this channel turns ordinary machines into stories you can't stop watching. But here's where it gets interesting. The plane does not need to break the speed of sound for the trouble to begin. Trouble starts before that. To understand why, picture a normal airliner cruising high above the clouds. At this height, the air is thin. That is good because thin air creates less drag, so the plane can travel farther using less fuel. But thin air also creates a problem. The wings need air to hold the plane up. So the aircraft has to move fast enough for the wings to keep generating lift. That is why passenger jets love cruising high and fast. It's the sweet spot. Not too low, where thick air slows them down, not too high, where the wings struggle, and not too fast, where the air begins to attack the aircraft. That sweet spot is around 900 to 950 kilometers per hour. It sounds like a random number, but it is not. It is the point where speed, fuel, safety, comfort, and physics all agree. And the moment you try to go far beyond it, that agreement breaks. Now, let's go back to one of the moments that changed aviation forever. In the 1950s, the British Comet became the world's first passenger jet airliner. It was a miracle of its time. It flew higher, it flew faster, it made older propeller planes look slow and outdated. People thought the future had arrived. Then something terrifying happened. In 1954, a comet took off from Rome and climbed into the sky. Minutes later, communications stopped. Witnesses saw a flash and wreckage fell into the sea. Investigators were confused. This was not supposed to happen to the future of aviation. So they did something extreme. They placed an aircraft fuselage inside a huge water tank and repeatedly pressurized it, again and again, like thousands of takeoffs and landings happening in fast motion. And then they found it. The metal had cracked near the sharp corner of a window. This is the part nobody talks about. At high altitude, the plane is not just flying, it is also breathing. Outside, the air pressure is low. Inside, the cabin is pressurized so passengers can survive comfortably. So the fuselage keeps expanding and relaxing, flight after flight, like a balloon that is being inflated and squeezed. And sharp corners are terrible at handling stress. That is why modern airplane windows are rounded, not because it looks nicer, because sharp corners concentrate force. And in aviation, a small design detail can become a life or death problem. And if you've ever sat in a plane thinking, why don't they just go faster? Don't keep this discovery to yourself. Like this video so more people can finally understand what's really happening outside that tiny window.
But the windows were only one lesson. The bigger lesson was this: high-speed flight is not just about engine power. It is about what air does to the entire aircraft. Now imagine the wing of a plane. To us it looks still, but to the air it is chaos. As the aircraft moves forward, air splits around the wing. Some air goes under, some air goes over the curved top. The air over the top has to move faster, and that is the hidden danger. Even if the whole plane is flying slower than the speed of sound, the air rushing over parts of the wing can locally reach supersonic speed. So from the passenger seat, everything feels normal, but over the wing, tiny supersonic storms can already be forming. And when that happens, shock waves appear. Think of a shock wave like a sudden traffic jam in the air. Smooth airflow is like cars moving nicely on a highway. Then suddenly, all the cars hit a wall of pressure. Everything compresses, everything shakes. The smooth airflow breaks apart. And when smooth airflow breaks apart over a wing, the wing stops behaving the way the pilot expects. That is why the speed limit is not just about the speed of the aircraft. It is about the speed of the air moving around the aircraft. And that air can be moving faster than the plane itself.
But that's not the full story. Because flying too fast is dangerous, but at high altitude, flying too slow is also dangerous. This is where pilots face one of the most uncomfortable ideas in aviation. The safe speed window gets narrower the higher you go. At low altitude, the air is thick. The wings have plenty of air to work with. But at cruising altitude, the air is thin. So if the aircraft speeds up too much, shock waves and high-speed airflow problems begin. So the plane is trapped between two dangers. Too slow and it may fall. Too fast and it may lose control or suffer dangerous stress. Imagine walking on a narrow bridge. On one side is a stall. On the other is overspeed. At lower altitude, the bridge is wide. At higher altitude, the bridge becomes narrow. And for a heavy passenger jet, that narrow bridge is why 950 kilometers per hour is not just a convenient cruising speed, it is a safety decision. Now here is where the money enters the story. Even if engineers could make a plane fly faster safely, airlines still have to answer one brutal question. Will passengers pay for it? Because air resistance does not rise gently, it rises aggressively. Push a plane a little faster and it needs a lot more energy. Push it much faster and fuel consumption becomes painful. At around 950 kilometers per hour, the aircraft is already cutting through the atmosphere with huge force. Add another 100 or 200 kilometers per hour, and the engines need far more fuel just to save a little time. That means bigger engines, more fuel, more weight, less space for passengers, higher ticket prices. And suddenly, the faster plane is not a better business. It is an expensive machine that only a small number of people can afford. This is why airlines usually prefer efficiency over raw speed. A plane that carries many people at a reasonable cost is more valuable than a plane that carries fewer people very fast at a painful price. And here's where it gets even stranger. We already had a passenger plane that flew much faster. The Concorde. It crossed the ocean at more than twice the speed of sound. It looked like the future. It made normal airliners look slow. But Concorde also revealed the hidden price of extreme speed. At those speeds, air friction heated the body of the aircraft. The nose could become extremely hot. The metal expanded. During flight, the aircraft could stretch by several centimeters. Then, after landing, it cooled and shrank again. That sounds like science fiction, but it was real engineering. And it showed something important. At high speed, air is no longer just something the plane moves through. Air becomes heat. Air becomes vibration. Air becomes pressure. Air becomes noise. And ordinary aircraft materials are not designed for that kind of punishment every day. To build a plane that can handle it, you need special materials, special maintenance, special design, and a lot of money. That is why Concorde was amazing, but never became normal. Most people don't know this, but Concorde did not fail because it was slow. It failed partly because it was too extreme for mass travel. The world could build it, but the world could not make it cheap, quiet, and practical enough for everyone. Most people only remember that Concorde was fast, but they don't know the hidden cost behind that speed. Share this video with someone who thinks faster always means better. And then there's the problem people on the ground cannot ignore: the sonic boom. When a plane flies faster than sound, it creates a pressure wave that reaches the ground like an explosion, not a gentle whoosh, a boom. Windows can rattle, people can be startled, communities can complain, and that creates a simple legal problem. Even if a supersonic airliner works perfectly in the sky, it still has to be allowed to fly over people's homes. For decades, that was the wall supersonic passenger travel could not break. Not the engine, not the wing, not the pilot, the people underneath. Because saving passengers 1 or 2 hours in the air does not feel worth it if thousands of people on the ground hear explosions every day. Now be honest, before this video, did you know air could become this dangerous before a plane even breaks the sound barrier? Drop a comment with "I didn't know" if this surprised you. So aviation settled into a deal. Passenger jets would not chase maximum speed. They would chase the best balance. Fast enough to cross continents and oceans in hours, slow enough to avoid sonic booms, efficient enough for airlines to operate, comfortable enough for passengers to sleep, safe enough to fly millions of people every day. That is why the modern airliner feels like it has been stuck at the same speed for decades. But it is not really stuck, it is optimized. The speed of about 950 kilometers per hour is not a failure of progress. It is the point where the aircraft, the atmosphere, the airline, the airport, the passenger, and the law all stop fighting each other. But the story may not be over. New aircraft designers are now trying to bring back faster passenger travel without bringing back the old problems. That means quieter supersonic designs, better materials, smarter wings, and aircraft shapes that soften the shock waves before they become painful booms on the ground. The goal is not just to go faster. The goal is to go faster without making the sky feel hostile to everyone below. If they succeed, the future of air travel could change again. But even then, the lesson remains the same. Planes do not fly faster just because engines can push harder. They fly at the speed where the entire system still makes sense. The wing must still hold. The metal must still survive. The fuel must still be affordable. The passengers must still feel safe. The people on the ground must still accept it, and the air itself must still allow it. So the next time you look out of a plane window and see nothing but calm blue sky, remember this: that empty space is not empty. At 950 kilometers per hour, the air outside is already pushing back with invisible force, and your plane is not crawling through the sky. It is balancing on the edge of physics. And if this made you look at ordinary airplanes differently,
Subscribe now so you don't miss the next video. Before you go, please click on the playlist showing on your screen right now to watch one more video. I believe you'd love it. Until next time, take care of yourself.